The highest percentage of my sales comes from email marketing, but the highest percentage of my traffic comes from Instagram. Yes, I know.
There's a distinction. I thank you for making that distinction because
Yeah.
traffic does not
Yeah,
equate to sales.
exactly. Yeah, so I'm a victim of this too. Like we want to believe that the free platform, social media, whatever, whichever one we choose, is going to be like the thing that makes our business, boom. And it can make it boom, but not like in the way that we typically want, which is sales.
After two of the retail corporations she worked for went out of business back to back, today's guest, Jance decided she wasn't going to go back to work for anyone else, but she was going to take her 12 years of corporate retail experience and start her own e-commerce business. 3 years later, not only does she now run a 7-figure e-commerce business, but she also teaches other business owners how to launch and run successful e-commerce boutiques. In today's conversation, Jance is giving us all the basics and the targeted strategies we're going to need in order to launch and grow our own e-commerce businesses. From the tools she uses, the marketing strategies that are working for her right now, and everything in between. So if this sounds like it would be helpful to you, keep on watching. If you're new here, my name is Sewa Ejepele, and I host the She's Off Script podcast, where we help you create your own unique blueprint for business success. Before we dive into the episode, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next episode. We release a new one every Thursday. With that, let's go ahead and dive right in. Jance Charté, welcome to She's Off Script. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be here finally.
Same here, same here. So for anyone who hasn't come across you online, could you share who you are and what you do?
Of course. So I am an online boutique owner. I own an online boutique called Brazen, and I'm also an e-commerce coach at the Boutique Academy, where I coach other e-commerce brands on how to launch and grow their own online businesses.
So how did you get into the e-commerce space?
Very much on accident. I was working in retail. I worked in retail for a little over 10 years, and the last two jobs that I had went out of business. I literally never thought that I would ever be an entrepreneur. I never had the desire or even thought to start a business. And I started a YouTube channel where I was just sharing like all these things that I learned working for different corporations. So then when that last job went out of business, because all of my subscribers on YouTube were boutique owners, I was like, well, I should just start a boutique. Like it makes no sense for me to keep giving you guys advice, and I don't even have the business that you guys have. And it made it a lot easier for me to continue to create content. So I just was like, I'm going to launch a business and see how it goes. And I'll just document the whole thing through my YouTube channel. And it just so happened to work out really well.
That's so interesting, though,
Yeah.
that you had a YouTube channel while you were still working
Yeah.
at your corporate job.
Yeah.
Why? What made you start it?
Honestly, so I had a YouTube channel when I was in college. I started college like 2008. So I think I started my first channel in like 2009.
Mm.
And I used to just talk about like fashion. I was very big into fashion because I worked in retail. I always was like job hopping, always looking for like a employee discount.
The best
But
discount,
yes, I
yes.
love the good discount. So I was making like fashion content, like kind of like style vlogs and things like that. And then I used to like do my hair all the time. So I would do like hair tutorials or like review like hair extensions and things like that. Never really thinking anything of it. And literally just one random day, I was watching a video about something, I think related to boutiques or like buying wholesale, because my last job was like my first introduction to buying wholesale. I was looking for the answer to something.
Mm.
And I watched some girl's video and I was just reading the comments and I was like, she doesn't answer any of her comments. Like I can answer all these questions. So I'm like, I'm
Hmm.
gonna make a video and I'm gonna like just answer questions that I know I can answer. And like my subscribers just kept growing like week over week from that one video. It was the strangest thing. So I started the YouTube channel for fashion and hair, and it kind of like progressed into boutiques and e-commerce over time.
You know, whenever you're solving a problem that people
Yeah.
actually find to be a pain point,
Yes.
your business just magically grows.
Every time. Every time. And I didn't even like, I knew nothing about like business or like marketing or anything, but like I didn't even realize I was solving a problem for
Mm.
someone. I just was like, oh, I'm just going to answer some questions and have a good conversation with myself on camera. Yeah.
And it worked out. And
It
so
worked
it's
great.
interesting that two of your former employers went out of business.
Yeah.
I'm just curious, now that you do have your business, did you take, well, first of all, did you have any insight into what caused them to go out of business? And has that influenced how you run your business today?
Yes and no. So the first business that went out of business was the Limited. I don't know if you're familiar with it,
Hmm.
but I love that job. It was like it felt like a big girl job, even though they all were like retail corporations. But they had started this like a what's the word? Like an outlet extension to the business. So they had started turning full price stores into outlets. So like the store that I was working at the time in the mall became an outlet. So it was
Hmm,
like the same products but like lesser quality, smaller prices, things like that. And the customers did not like that because obviously they didn't vote for that. They're like,
right.
who made this decision?
Hmm.
And these are like customers who had shopped there for years, like some of them a decade long. They had like products that they loved and they always came back for like every year they're coming to get their favorite suit in a new
Hmm.
color or whatever. And now you're deciding that the store closest to them is going to become something else and you're
With
trying to tell them
cheaper
like, oh, it's the
quality.
same thing.
Yeah.
It's not though. So that really like opened my eyes to like how important it is to one hear the consumer's perspective about things and really like pay attention to what they love about your business and use
Mm,
that to your advantage versus like yes, you want to make decisions based off of analytics and data and all that stuff, but like at the end of the day, your job is to serve people. And they went like the wrong direction when it came to like serving their audience. It was terrible. The second job that went out of business was actually a small business. And that was my first introduction to entrepreneurship, even though it wasn't my business. The store that I was running, it was my first job as a store manager. The store I was running was actually owned by a nonprofit organization. So they knew nothing about retail. They were like, we're hiring you to tell us what you think we should do. And I only knew what I knew from like selling and like being a sales assistant or like an assistant manager. I had never ran a store myself. So like they literally handed me everything. I had to make sure the bills got paid. I had to do all the hiring, the firing, the strategizing, the marketing, every single aspect of
I'm seeing a
business I
problem.
had to learn. Yeah, it was the craziest thing. So without me really realizing it, I was an entrepreneur and they actually went out of business due to finances. It just wasn't like moving the way that they wanted, and because it was owned by a nonprofit organization, the money that they were making was funding, city projects and things of that nature. It
Mm,
wasn't really to pay anyone in particular, like put
right.
money in their pockets. So they just decided they wanted to put the money that they were spending on the shop into other endeavors in the city. So that one ended up closing, but that one really like opened my eyes to entrepreneurship and like what I thought I could potentially do as a business owner.
Mm. And so, how did you then make that leap
Mhm.
into having a business of your own, an e-commerce business of your own?
Yeah. So the last job, I want to say my boss told me that the store was going to close in like April.
Okay.
And that's when he like announced it to me, but it didn't actually close until October. So he gave
You
me
got time.
all of
Yeah.
that time to like, they wanted me to try to like clear out all the stuff in the store as much as possible to, make some money.
Hmm.
And during that time, I just was going back and forth with myself, like, okay, I'm going to go get another job. I was filling out job applications. Literally every job was either like you're not qualified enough for this role, or you're too qualified for this role, or we're not going to pay you, we can't pay you that amount. And it just felt like I felt like God was saying like you don't need a job, like just you don't need a job, sit down and figure out what you can do for yourself. My mom thought I was nuts. She was like sending me job applications every week. And at some point in the middle of that period of time, I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna like go all in on my YouTube channel. I had a lot of girls that were asking me like if they could hop on a call with me for like 30 minutes just to answer a question. I was like, sure, $50. And it was like
My
$50.
goodness, $50 is a
Absolutely. Yes. It was
steal.
I'm like, I can't believe I ever charged $50 for all that information. But
Mm,
long story short, um, the coaching, even though I didn't like really call it coaching at the time, was like where I was able to start making a little bit of money even before I started the business. And I started changing my like talking points on my YouTube channel, letting people know that I was going to start an online boutique. I started buying the inventory because I knew where to buy the inventory due to my previous job. And when the day came, my boss actually told me that they were going to pay me for an additional month after the store closed. So I was like, okay, you have a month to like launch this thing, make some money, make enough to like pay your next month's rent and like your
Hmm.
bills, and we'll just, see how it goes. And it went well. I mean, I was cutting it very, very close with the finances, very close, but it worked out. I literally just like jumped off a ledge and prayed that I landed on a mattress.
And you certainly did, a big fluffy one. And that's
Yeah,
really what I want to dive into
it
today.
was pretty cushiony.
One of the things I love about you, I was telling you earlier, is how transparent you are
Yeah.
online with your behind the scenes process. And
Mhm.
one of the videos, even earlier on, you were doing this, you were sharing your revenue goals and
Mhm.
how you were going about doing that,
Yeah.
what things you had to do to reach those revenue goals. So I'm
Yeah.
curious, to date, what has been your highest sales day? And
Mm.
what steps did you take in order to hit that goal?
Ooh, that's a great question. So my highest revenue day was, this is 2023. I want to say it was sometime in November of 2021. I made just over $18,000 in a day. Um, And the only thing that I did like different that day was I prioritized one singular style of clothing versus like launching this like full collection of things. So I literally chose like one style. It was a jogger set. And it's the one I'm wearing actually.
Oh,
It was this jogger set and I got it in like 22 colors. And I think I made it like $29 or something, like because I typically sold it for like $44, made it $29 for like that day only. And I sent an email overnight, which I want to say that was around the first time that I actually like started to explore overnight marketing versus like daytime marketing. So I sent an email overnight and it was kind of like a secret sale, I guess you could say. And then when the morning came, I sent a super early email and I posted really early. So like I would say I changed my like thought process around marketing. Prior to that period of time, I thought that like, oh, if I send an email too late or too early, I'm going to be annoying. If I send them too many emails, I'm annoying. I can't
mm,
send an overnight email. That's crazy. I was like, no, I'm going to try every single thing that I think is crazy or like not allowed. And it was an amazing sales day.
ooh. All right. So now that we kind of know what's possible and what's been
Yeah.
possible for your business, let's take it back for anyone who's thinking about launching their first e commerce business. So for
Yeah.
you, you've chosen to go with clothing. So let's talk about, where did you find your inventory when you first started?
Yeah, so I actually went to what's called a wholesale fashion trade show. They happen in a few different cities across the country and internationally. I went to one that happens in Vegas every February and March, or no, February and August. I'm sorry. It's called Magic, and when I was working at my previous job, that was when I learned about magic. I had no idea that that was like even a thing. We had like a retail consultant who used to work for like a big corporation back in the day. He was like, "You need to go to this big trade show." Mind you, he was telling me I needed to go for the store, but I was like, "I'm gonna go for my
Of course, use
for my
that
own
knowledge.
business." So I went to this trade show and it's literally like a huge convention center filled with clothes from like manufacturers all over the country. And you get to like source products for your business. So you can, see what's going to be in for the upcoming seasons. You can compare prices, compare fabrics, compare styles in general. So that was the first time I made like my first purchase. And then after that, I went to the Fashion District, which is located in LA, downtown LA. So it's almost like if you've ever been to a outdoor outlet mall, it's like that, but like with
Mm,
wholesale clothing. I went down there and bought a little bit more for my like initial collection, and I feel like in person, because I also bought some online after the fact, but I feel like buying in person, makes the selection process a lot easier because it removes that apprehension about like, is this going to be good quality? Is this going to
Mhm.
stretch? Is this going to be this? It's going to be that. It's like you get to test it. You can pull it off the hanger and place it over your body or whatever the case may be to really know whether or not it fits the potential needs of your customer or matches the idea of the direction that you're going in for your clothing for your business.
Okay, so speaking of the needs of your customer,
Yeah.
at that point, had you yet honed in on who your customer was, or were you just buying what you thought was cute?
I thought that I had honed in on who my customer was gonna be. So when I launched, I had this I always say, like, this is the worst thing that I could have ever done now looking back. I had, like, made this announcement that everything in my store was gonna be $40 or less because I was like, "I wanna target the girl who loves, like, affordability." She's, like, the girl who goes to TJ Maxx or, like, Marshalls or wherever, and they have cute stuff, but she's like going
Mhm.
there because she wants to get the cute stuff on a budget. But I wasn't really thinking about like profit margins and sales goals or anything like that. I just want to make it affordable for the customer. And then, like most people, I was like, oh, she's a girl like me. She's a millennial. She's this, she's that. But I started to realize like no one can serve a person like themselves in totality. So I'm like, sometimes I love getting dressed up and I love like traveling overseas, but then other times I like being a couch potato and wearing like baggy sweatpants and an oversized hoodie and not doing my hair. So I started like reeling it in and I'm like, okay, what version, if you're going to target a girl like yourself, what version of yourself are you targeting? Because you can't
Mhm.
target all versions of yourself every single
Right.
day. It's just not making sense. So no, it took a little minute before I really like got that target audience thing down pat.
So how did you get it?
Oh, that's a great question. So actually, I eventually removed myself from my idea of my customer. And
Mhm.
I feel like we think that choosing someone like ourselves is the easiest thing to do because obviously no one knows us better than we know ourselves.
Yeah.
But I honestly felt like that made it harder because I like so many things. And I would go and buy all these clothes and it was just like all the things that I liked. It was terrible. So I actually started once I started to make sales, I started to pay attention to who were like return buyers. So not just like a one-time customer. I wasn't like going to their Instagram and I'm like, oh, she's super cute. I love how she dresses. Like she's my ideal customer. I was like, no, who comes to my store and buys continuously? They don't ask for a discount, they buy things full price, so on and so forth. So, ironically, my sister, one of my sisters, I have three, ended up being one of those customers. All of my sisters buy from me. My cousins would buy from me here and there, and, my friends around the town and stuff like that. But my sister would buy all the time, like every week. And then she would go to work and she still does. She's like my number three customer. It's the
Wow.
craziest thing. And she has her own discount code now, but because she shops so much, but she would go to work and the other she's a teacher. The other teachers in the building would ask her, like, oh, you look so cute, you look so cozy. Like, where'd you get this outfit from? And this was even before I was selling primarily loungewear. So I was like, okay, yes, she's my sister, but I need to look at her from a consumer perspective. So I was like, okay, she's a teacher. She works like kind of a service job. She works with kids. She didn't have a child. This is the one that has the baby now. She didn't have
Mhm.
a child at the time. She's in her 20s. She was in a relationship. So I literally started thinking about my sister as a consumer and then thinking like backwards, what could I do to attract more people like her? And I started asking her questions. I started sending her pictures of products that I was like thinking about buying, or maybe like I really loved it, but I wasn't sure she would love it. So
Mm.
she kind of became like an advisor to my business. And that honestly changed everything for me. Thinking about using a real person as my ideal customer versus like a buyer persona, making that person up and writing this random person down on paper. And then you got to
Mhm.
go out and pray that you find someone like that. It's like, no, use a person that actually
Yeah.
exists. And it changed everything for me.
Oh, see, that's good advice.
Yeah.
Actually, base your target audience on someone real because then you can
Yeah.
poll them and you can
Exactly.
even do that live on social media. Hey, I'm thinking about buying this for the next collection. What do you think? And
Yeah.
people will give you their real feedback.
Exactly.
So, Speaking of inventory, so I know that's one of the hardest things I hear for boutique owners to manage. So, do you have any tricks or advice or maybe common mistakes that new e commerce shops tend to make when they're handling inventory?
Yeah, so this is a mistake that I made really early on too, and that helps me a lot
Mm,
these days. We often like buy way too much up front. We buy and way too many styles up front. And not that it's like a bad thing to give your audience options, but more so from a marketing perspective, we often can't market in true effectiveness a large collection of things.
mm,
So I look at Skims for example all the time. I love Skims. Kim aside, I love Skims. Um, and one thing that they do really well is they launch collections, like small collections at a time. And even though there's like, let's say 12 colors of it, it's like a collection of, let's say, 5 to 7 products. So as a new business owner, we often go like super wide and we don't have the capability to market all of those things
mm,
effectively. Or we think that like we can market the 4 that we love the most and people will just naturally gravitate to the other ones, and they don't. You literally have to give some effort to each and every last one of them unless they coincide with each other in some way. So like if you buy a bunch of bottoms, you need tops to match those bottoms. Or if you buy dresses, you need, I don't know, a jacket or whatever to go on
mm,
top of it. So a lot of times we just buy a bunch of random things that don't really correlate to one another. They don't really speak to one another. And then we struggle to market it all. And we wonder why we don't make sales. It's a marketing issue.
mhm.
So I guess that's an inventory and a marketing issue tied up in one. But yeah, we often just go way too deep into like all these because it's shopping at the end of the day. It's like, oh my
Yeah.
God, like it's shopping. And we want to fill our carts. We fill our carts with all these things that we really don't have a plan for, how we're going to sell it. And that's probably the most unfortunate thing that I've done and that I've seen a lot of my students do too.
What about storage of the inventory? How did you manage that?
So when I launched my business, myself and my sister, the one that is one of my best customers, we were living together at the time. We were staying in this little townhouse that had no room whatsoever. Both of us had like these little bitty bedrooms. I bought these little shelving units from like Home Depot or something
Mhm,
like that. They were
mhm,
tiny though, like, and I rearranged my closet so that I could put one of these shelves in my closet, and then I had one outside of the closet up against the only bare wall that I had in the room, and I just piled the inventory there. And that also like really helped me too because I realized like you don't have a warehouse. Like this is a this is a townhouse that you
mhm.
share with someone else. And my sister had this like dog who they had just got, and she was like all over the place. So I was like, you can't have stuff everywhere. So I got these little shelving units, and then eventually I got like those little clear plastic bins, and I just started stacking them up. But eventually, my bedroom became a warehouse. It was
Wow.
insane. It was insane. So like having inventory management as a new business is so hard because you can't really predict or project how much inventory you're going to need to start. And then you also can't typically predict how much inventory you're going to need 30 days from now or 60 days from now. You have
Mhm,
no idea. So you either
mhm.
grow into it or you outgrow the space that you're in, and you can't really predict how quickly it's going to happen.
Well, I guess it's trial and error. I think you just need to
Definitely.
start and see where you end up. But
Yes.
you've talked about the marketing issue as
Mhm.
well. I'm curious, what have been your most effective ways of driving traffic to your site? Is it ads? I've seen you use text. I've seen you have an
Mhm.
app, IG. Like, which combination seems to be working for you?
Yeah, so I would say I've gone through seasons of different things working at the time, just based off of the size of my audience and like their relationship to my business. So right now, currently, text marketing works the best. It's the quickest way to get my audience on my website and to drive traffic. But that's only because I have an audience that like likes what I have to offer and are like ready and willing to spend money. They all they need to see is like Brazen Boutique pop up on their phone. They're like, oh, okay, gotta go see
I
because it's
love
gonna be
that.
gone. But like a year or two ago, I would say ads was the primary way to drive traffic. I definitely learned that like a lot of people say, I want consistent sales, but often they don't master having consistent traffic. So I started to realize ads was a great way to drive consistent traffic to my business. So when I first started my business, I knew ads were valuable because, like I said, at my previous job, I literally had to manage everything, and that included learning how to run ads. So I learned how to run ads at that business, but at that time I was spending somebody else's money, not my money. So when I started my business, I was very apprehensive of where and what to spend my money on.
Mm-hmm.
So I would turn the ads on, I would turn them off because I'm like, oh my God, I spent all this money and I didn't make any. This is crazy. Like, this can't be real.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say like a year and a half to 2 years into my business, I realized like you need traffic, and either you're going to work tirelessly all day, every day to get the traffic that you desire, or you can let these ads run and get crafty about where you send people to. So I would say after I realized the ads will drive consistent traffic, then came email marketing. Instead of me sending people directly to my website, I would send them to a landing page to sign up for my email list. Because if I needed to turn the ads off, as long as I had an email list to send messages to, I knew I would be okay.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like I said, it's been a season. I was like, okay, you need traffic. Okay,
What
now you
was
need
the
email.
incentive though for people to put their email address
Yeah.
in when they landed there from an ad?
I tested a few different things. So the fastest way that I've ever gotten email subscribers has been a giveaway. So show them like the best of the best product that you have at the time. And instead of putting like win a whatever amount gift card, or like um I would put like win whatever amount in free clothes. And they're like, free clothes? Oh, I want free clothes, like, especially if you show them like a little carousel of the different
Mm-hmm.
styles you have or whatever. So I would put like win $150 worth of free clothes. And I would get so many people sign up because they're like, free. I love free. And I'll say another thing that I learned after the fact that really helped too, to like get sales, even if they didn't necessarily win the giveaway. I would choose the giveaway winner, but then I would like make everybody a winner. So it say the winner of our giveaway is Brittany from Texas. And it
Mm-hmm.
would say, but because we're feeling generous, everybody's gonna get a $10 gift card or whatever. And
Love
like,
it.
"Yay, we got
And we can't just only spend that $10. We're gonna
exactly.
spend more.
Exactly. So I was like, okay, all these people joined your list because they wanted to win something. Only one person can win this thing, but everybody can be a winner. You just need to decide what they win. And that was an amazing lead magnet.
Mm-hmm.
And I find that a lot of times in e-commerce, we, go immediately to a percentage off or a discount or whatever, which is fine. And it's very effective depending on what you sell. But I think it's a lot more valuable to test different things to see what gets you the best result, or more so gets you the result that you want.
Mm. So, what about text marketing? What percentage would you say today of your traffic is coming from text marketing versus ads versus posting on Instagram?
Ooh, so the highest percentage of my sales comes from email marketing, but the highest percentage of my traffic comes from Instagram. Um,
Hmm.
yes, I know.
There's a
So,
distinction. I thank you for making that distinction because
yeah,
traffic does not
yeah,
equate to sales.
exactly. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
so I find that, and I'm a victim of this too. Like, we want to believe that the free platform, social media, whichever one we choose, is going to be like the thing that makes our business, boom. And it can make it boom, but not like in the way that we typically want, which is sales. So
Mm-hmm.
I started to realize, okay, I need a traffic generator, but I also need to clarify what my sales generator is. So Instagram is like my platform of choice. I spend a lot of time there talking and posting and sharing, what's new or what's on sale and things like that. And just to get the traffic to the website to begin with. And then when it comes to like my ads and my emails and things like that, all of that gets to kind of run on autopilot instead of me having to like manually do the work. So with ads, I get to retarget all the people who interacted with the content on Instagram, no matter what they did, commented, liked it, whatever, they get
Hmm.
retargeted. And then if they go to my website, they also get retargeted. If they go to my website and they add to cart or they initiate a checkout, they go through the email flows and they get the abandoned cart emails and things like that. So I started realizing, okay, social media, yes, it can drive sales, but it can absolutely drive traffic. I need to figure out how to make a sale. And it's probably, I can't control social media. I started realizing that, like,
Mm.
all the times that Instagram is like falling off the face of the earth for 24 hours or whatever. I'm like, okay, we can't rely on Instagram for that.
Hmm.
If I need sales that day, I can't rely on Instagram for it. So
Love that. I love that.
Instagram is like my traffic driver for sure.
So, for anyone who's not aware, what does retargeting mean?
Oh, yeah. So retargeting is basically putting your brand, your products, your content back in front of an audience that has interacted with it before. So, for example, all of us are posting on social media all day, every day. And when you go to run an ad, typically we think that we have to target a brand new audience. We get those options to, choose their interest and their location and their age and all that good stuff. But if you create your ads from the Facebook Ads Manager, you can build what are called custom audiences, and you get to choose who you want to target, including people who've interacted with your brand. So people who've engaged with you on social media, people who visited your website. You can even get down to like they watched a specific reel. They watched that reel for 3 seconds. They watched 95% of that reel.
Mm.
So just putting your brand back in front of someone who's interacted with it before. And it's so important because, in marketing, they say that, well, it used to be 7 interactions. And I read a report the other day that says it can take 7 to 10 interactions these days for a person to make a buying decision. So retargeting is actually one of the most important elements of marketing because we got to keep our content in front of these people because they're not going
We're
to make a
so
split second
distracted.
decision.
We're so
So
distracted these
distracted.
days that I
Thank
might
you.
want it, but I've forgotten. So you got to remind me. You got to pop your ad
Exactly.
back in front of me, follow me around the
Exactly.
internet. Yeah. And
Exactly.
so I know you talked about getting traffic to your website and that sometimes they may not buy. So, what are the top reasons you would say people would land on a product on your page and not purchase it? Because I know
Mm.
some of the new business owners are probably like looking at their Google Analytics and seeing a very
Mhm.
high bounce rate,
Mhm.
meaning, the percentage of people who land on your page and immediately leave. So, what
Yeah.
are some of the reasons that people don't buy when they land on your page?
Yeah. So I would say a big one is not having a product description. A lot of times we think like the picture compensates for everything. They're like, you saw the picture on social, you saw the picture here, you came to the website. Obviously, you want to purchase. But I find that a lot of people come to a website because they want more information about the
Mm.
thing that you just posted about. So not having a product description can definitely hinder. I would say high shipping rates. I find that a lot of people just choose like random shipping rates, like $12, $14. I'm like, where'd you
Mm.
get this number from? So really high shipping rates. A slow website speed can definitely impact someone coming and leaving very fast. An unorganized website, making it really hard for them to like find the thing that you just sent them a message about. It's like you just sent me an email or you just posted about this thing.
Where is it?
Where is it? Why is it on page
Or you
7 of
or
the
the
new
link you
arrivals?
sent them wasn't directly to the item, it was to your
Exactly.
homepage. Why?
Exactly. People are and like we were just saying, people are they don't want to waste any time. They
No.
have short attention spans. They are not going on your website to look for anything. They're like, show it to me right now.
Mhm.
So those are like really big ones. Um, yeah, those are like the primary ones that I can think of that like I mean, even on my website in the past, I've seen a big one that really hindered me in the beginning was not having a return policy. So, especially when it comes to clothing, because, as women, we don't know how anything is going to fit
Mhm.
online. Women have curves and all that stuff. So, buying a product and then not knowing that you can, like, one, either return it to get another size or return it and get a store credit or whatever. Definitely a big hindrance. I literally used to see people, there was like a report on my website that would show me keywords that people were typing in on my website, and the word return kept popping up. And I was like, oh, people are looking for a return policy. And at the
Mhm.
time, my return policy, what it literally said, no refunds, no returns, no this, no that. I was like, I'm a small, struggling business. I just started. I can't afford to give
But I
anybody
don't know
their
if you're trying to scam me. I need to know
money. Yes,
because I may not return it because some people
exactly.
don't return. They just want to know that they can.
Exactly, exactly. And I also had to tell myself, if you feel confident that you made the right decision about the product and that you targeted the right people, then
Mm,
you shouldn't have to worry about whether or not somebody's going to return this. There,
yeah.
you should have it made up in your mind that they are not going to return it because they're going to love it so much. So it just showed me that I didn't have as much confidence as I needed as a business owner when I first started, because I was like, I could not afford to give anybody their money back.
So I love that because I'm sure there are people out here thinking the same thing,
Definitely,
whereas
100%.
it's hindering people from even clicking buy to begin with because they
Yes,
can't return. So
exactly.
I'm glad you're being vigilant about the keywords. What part is SEO playing in driving traffic to your site? So I know sometimes you need a great product description because it
Yeah.
has those keywords in it. But are you
Mhm.
also putting a blog out there because it's
Yeah.
helping the SEO side of your business?
Yes. So, I don't think it was last year. I want to say 2021. I actually invested in a SEO service because I started to see in my analytics that I was getting organic traffic from
Hmm.
search engines, but it wasn't a lot. And there was the part of me that was like, oh, well, that's nice. Like, that's cool. They'll come if they come. But then I was like, but also you could probably do something to increase this or improve this. So I actually booked a session with an SEO strategist, and one of the things that she recommended to me
Was it
was,
Charlene? Was it
yes, Charlene.
Charlene?
Yes,
So
uh-huh.
Charlene's been on the show as well. So I'll
I
also
love
link her
Charlene.
episode. Yep. Hmm.
Yes. So Charlene worked with me for, I want to say, 3 months, and we updated pretty much all of my product descriptions for like my best sellers and the products that people look at a lot. We updated the collections and the descriptions for the collection pages. One thing that Charlene taught me was that your collection pages will rank higher in search results than your product pages will. So that,
Hmm.
I was not really thinking about the collections themselves. I would just title them like new arrivals. But she's like, no, you need to put like new arrivals, women's loungewear for whatever season, like be specific about what they were. And then also she did make me add blogs to my website. And ironically, there is one blog on my website that we added during that time that sends so much traffic to my website every single month. It's so funny to me. It's literally like, I want to say like 10 ways to style joggers. And one of the like ways to style joggers in there is like with boots and booties. So the actual like keyword or keyword phrase that's like sending traffic to my website is how to style joggers with boots. And I'm like, I would never wear joggers with boots. But
A
apparently,
lot of somebodies are.
yes, so many people, I mean, like hundreds of people are Googling it and coming to my website to read that blog post. So blogging has actually played a huge part in increasing my traffic coming from search engines.
So just to kind of round things out, I know a lot of people kind of look down on e-commerce and selling clothing in particular because they feel like the margins are too small to really
Yeah.
make it worth it to really have them make an income. And I think
Hmm.
for your case in particular, you also have a course
Yeah.
teaching people how to start an e-commerce site. So
Hmm.
first, what do the margins look like? What kind of margins can we look forward to? And
Hmm.
then when you look at the makeup of your revenue, or let's take it down to makeup of your profit,
Yeah.
what percentage of that is coming from your course versus your e-commerce site?
So courses definitely have a significantly higher profit margin because there's not as big as a as big of overhead.
Hmm.
It's like a course platform that you pay for, and processing fees and things like that, and that's it. But with e-commerce, especially when you're housing inventory, you're paying for the actual
Mm.
inventory, you're paying for the shipping to get it to you. So many different the staff, if you got into that point where you're needing help to fulfill the orders. So I would say my typical net profit margin for e-commerce is like, in a good month, I would say like 25%. In a not so great month, probably like 15%. But in the course and coaching business, I would say in a great month, my profit margin could be like 80%. In a not so great month, it might be like 60%. So Definitely a huge difference in the 2, and I would say for e-commerce, it definitely takes some, like, get an accountant. I would
Hmm.
definitely say that. Get an accountant as early as possible. That was one of the things that I neglected to get very early because I was scared. I was like, "Oh my god, somebody's gonna be looking at my money. They're gonna steal it." What and I wasn't even making that much, but get an accountant. It was one of the most valuable things that I could have done as an e-commerce business because they are going to help you to look at your spending in a way that you don't typically know how to look at it. I had no perception of fixed expenses versus variable expenses. None of I just knew I need inventory and I need it now. It
Hmm.
was bad. And in all honesty, I feel like in e-commerce we get so stuck on the revenue. We're like, "Oh my god, I need to share I want to be able to share my Shopify screenshot that says I made X amount of dollars, but
Hmm.
I started to realize like that really doesn't matter because I need to know what's going to be in my bank account at the end of this month.
Yes.
So
Hmm.
now I really don't care as much to be able to say like, oh, I made six figures in a month. If I end the month with $3,000, I'd rather make $30,000 in a month and say that I kept 10 of it. Like that's going to
Hmm.
feel amazing. So yeah, to answer your question, I know that was long winded,
No,
but
no. And that gave us exactly
definitely
the
a
perspective we
difference.
need. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, just to round this out, I would love for you, rapid fire, to give us some of the tools that you are using right now, because that can be a part of the fixed costs that we have to
For
face as
sure.
new e commerce builders. So, when it comes to your texting platform, what are you using?
I'm currently using Attentive
Ooh, and then your actual e commerce store, what is it built on?
Shopify.
What about your app? How did you put that together?
My app is built through a company called Tapcart, which integrates with Shopify.
What about your actual payments? How are those coming in?
So most of them come through Shopify payments because Shopify has their own payment gateway. But second to that would be Afterpay, and third to that would be PayPal,
What about email marketing?
Klaviyo.
Ooh, okay. So I think that should get people started as far as what they
Definitely,
need to be using.
for
Well,
sure.
Jans, do you have any parting advice for new e commerce business owners that are looking to follow in your footsteps?
Honestly, I feel like this season, my words of advice are to take your time and
Mm,
plan it out because e-commerce is like a huge thing now. The pandemic like made it even bigger than we probably ever imagined that it would be. And it's saturated at this point, but I don't believe in things being oversaturated. I just feel like if you're going to enter into an industry that is saturated, you want to enter into it with a plan. So,
mm.
so take your time, don't rush it. The money will be there. It's not going anywhere. It's going to keep cycling and just have fun. Don't stress yourself about things that don't make sense to you just yet, but prioritize learning and investing in your education. That's really important. And don't neglect the consumer at the end of the day because your job is to serve people. So don't forget that no matter what you choose to do, the person that you want to serve is the person that you need to keep top of mind at all times.
Oh, I love that. So, for anyone who wants to follow your journey, shop with you, take a class from you, where can we find you?
Yeah, so you guys can find me in a multitude of places, but the easiest way to find me is going to be on Instagram because you can just click the link in my bio and go to my online boutique, which is Shop Brazen Boutique on Instagram, or follow the Boutique Academy, which is exactly how it sounds at the Boutique Academy on Insta as well.
If you enjoyed my conversation with Jance, I want you to know we have over 179 similar episodes in audio and video format. You can listen to our audio archive on she'soffscript.com or anywhere else audio podcasts are available. If you found the episode helpful, don't forget to share it with someone else and subscribe so you don't miss our next episode. With that, we'll see you right back here next week for another one. Bye.